There is a force shaping your life right now, whether you notice it or not. It is quiet. It is patient. It does not demand attention, and it does not announce its presence. Yet it influences your success, your failure, your confidence, your health, your money, and your future more than any single decision you will ever make. This force is the compound effect. Most people spend their lives searching for shortcuts. They want fast success, instant results, and dramatic transformations. They believe that one big opportunity, one lucky break, or one perfect decision will change everything. But real life does not work that way. Real lasting success is not built in a moment. It is built in the small actions you repeat every day. The truth is simple, but often ignored. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. The small habits you repeat without thinking are quietly creating the life you will live tomorrow. If you wake up a little late every day, it seems harmless. If you waste a little time on distractions, it feels normal. If you delay your work just a bit, it does not look like a problem. But over time, these small choices grow. They multiply. They create results you never intended. In the same way, small positive actions also grow. Reading a few pages daily builds knowledge. Saving a little money creates stability. Practicing a skill every day leads to mastery. None of these feel powerful in the moment, but together they become unstoppable. The compound effect is not about doing something extraordinary. It is about doing ordinary things consistently over a long period of time. This is why most people fail to use it. They do not see immediate results, so they quit. They lose patience. They believe their effort is wasted. But the reality is that progress is happening beneath the surface, even when nothing seems to change. Think of it like planting a seed. You water it daily, but for a long time, nothing appears above the ground. Many people give up at this stage because they think it is not working. But beneath the soil, roots are growing stronger. When the growth finally becomes visible, it happens quickly and powerfully. Life works the same way. You are always planting seeds through your actions. Every habit, every decision, every repeated behavior is either building your future or quietly damaging it. There is no neutral ground. You are either moving forward or falling behind. This concept is powerful because it gives you control. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need extraordinary talent. You do not need a lucky break. What you need is awareness and consistency. Once you understand the compound effect, you stop chasing quick results. You stop looking for easy paths. You start focusing on what truly matters, your daily actions. You begin to respect small improvements. You become patient with slow progress. You develop discipline even when motivation disappears. This is not just a motivational idea. It is a reality-based principle that has shaped the lives of successful people in every field. Athletes, entrepreneurs, students, and leaders all use this principle, whether they call it by name or not. The difference between where you are today and where you want to be is not as large as it seems. It is simply the result of repeated choices over time. The good news is that you can start at any moment. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need to change everything at once. You only need to begin with small actions and stay consistent. This journey is not about speed. It is about direction. If your direction is right, even the smallest steps will take you to a powerful destination. As you move through this book, you will begin to see your habits, your time, and your decisions differently. You will understand why some people move ahead while others remain stuck, even when they have similar opportunities. Most importantly, you will realize that the power to change your life is already in your hands. Not in one big action, but in the small choices you make every single day. Chapter 1: The Invisible Force That Shapes Your Life. There is a reason why some people move forward in life while others remain stuck, even when they start from the same place. It is not always talent. It is not always intelligence. It is not luck as much as people believe. The real difference is something far less exciting and far more powerful. It is the invisible force of daily habits. The compound effect is always working. It does not take a break. It does not wait for the right moment. It simply responds to what you do again and again. Every action you repeat becomes a vote for the kind of life you are creating. Over time, those votes add up, and they decide your direction. Most people do not notice this because the changes are too small to feel in the beginning. When you make a good choice today, nothing dramatic happens. When you make a bad choice today, nothing dramatic happens either. This creates a dangerous illusion. It makes people believe that their actions do not matter. But this is where the trap begins. The truth is that small actions never stay small. They grow, they multiply. They become habits, and habits shape identity. Once something becomes part of your identity, it starts controlling your behavior without effort. A person who reads every day does not struggle to learn. It becomes natural. A person who avoids responsibility does not need to think before making excuses. It becomes automatic. This is how the compound effect quietly takes control of your life. People often wait for motivation to begin. They think they will start when they feel ready or inspired. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If your actions depend on how you feel, you will never stay consistent. The compound effect does not care about motivation. It only responds to repetition. Discipline is what creates repetition. It is the ability to show up even when you do not feel like it. It is choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. This is not easy. In fact, it is uncomfortable at first. But that discomfort is temporary. The results are permanent. Another reason people fail to use the compound effect is because they compare themselves to others. They see someone successful and assume that person had a big breakthrough. They do not see the years of small, consistent effort behind that success. What looks like an overnight result is usually the outcome of a long, invisible process. When you understand this, you stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You focus on your own path. You respect your own progress, no matter how slow it seems. Time plays a critical role in this process. The compound effect needs time to show results. This is where patience becomes powerful. Without patience, you will quit before the results appear. With patience, you allow your efforts to grow into something meaningful. Think of it like building strength. Lifting weights one day will not change your body, but lifting regularly over time will transform you. The same principle applies to your skills, your finances, your mindset, and your relationships. Consistency creates momentum. Momentum makes things easier. What feels difficult today becomes normal tomorrow. This is how progress accelerates. Not because you suddenly become different, but because your habits become stronger. There is also a hidden danger in small negative habits. Just as positive actions build success, negative actions build problems. Wasting a little time each day does not feel serious. Ignoring small responsibilities does not seem harmful. But over time, these patterns create stress, failure, and regret. The compound effect does not judge your actions. It simply amplifies them. Whether your habits are good or bad, it will make them stronger over time. This means you must become aware of your daily choices. Awareness is the first step to change. If you do not notice what you are doing, you cannot improve it. Once you become aware, you can start making small adjustments. You do not need to change everything at once. That approach often fails. Instead, focus on one small habit. Improve it. Make it consistent. Then move to the next one. This slow, steady approach is far more powerful than sudden, intense effort. Example 1. A person decides to wake up 30 minutes earlier every day. At first, it feels difficult and unnecessary. He feels tired and questions the decision. But he uses that time to plan his day and focus on his goals. After a few weeks, he becomes more organized. After a few months, his productivity increases. After a year, he achieves more than he ever did before, without feeling rushed or stressed. Example, another person chooses to delay work by just a little every day. He checks his phone first. He wastes small pockets of time. It does not seem like a big problem. But deadlines start getting closer. Work piles up. Stress increases. Over time, his performance drops and he feels overwhelmed. The problem did not come from one big mistake. It came from repeated small delays. These examples show a simple truth. Your future is hidden in your daily routine. The compound effect is not something you turn on or off. It is always active. The only thing you control is the direction. If your habits are positive, your life will slowly move toward growth, success, and stability. If your habits are negative, your life will slowly move toward stress, confusion, and limitation. There is no instant reward at the beginning. That is why most people give up. They want to see results quickly. They want proof that their effort is working. But the real proof comes later, much later than people expect. Those who succeed are not always the most talented. They are the ones who stayed consistent long enough to let the compound effect work in their favor. This is the reality most people avoid because it requires responsibility. It means your current situation is not just luck or fate. It is the result of what you have been doing repeatedly. But this is also what makes it powerful. Because if your past actions created your present, then your current actions can create a different future. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a clear direction and the willingness to act daily. The invisible force is already shaping your life. The question is simple. Are you using it or ignoring it? Chapter 2. The danger of small neglect. Success is not only built by what you do, it is also shaped by what you ignore. This is a reality most people fail to understand. They believe failure comes from big mistakes or major wrong decisions. But in most cases, failure is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet and slow. It grows from small neglects repeated over time. A small neglect does not look dangerous. It feels harmless. Skipping one task, ignoring one responsibility, delaying one important decision, choosing comfort for a moment. None of these seem serious in isolation. That is why they are so powerful. They slip into your routine without resistance. The compound effect does not only reward positive habits, it also magnifies neglect. What you avoid today will return tomorrow with greater weight. What you ignore now will demand more energy later. The cost of delay always increases. People often say they work well under pressure. They wait until the last moment to act. They believe urgency helps them perform better. But this is not strength. It is a pattern of neglect. Over time, it creates stress, weakens quality, and reduces confidence. Neglect creates accumulation. Tasks pile up. Problems grow. Opportunities disappear. At first, the pressure is small. Then it becomes uncomfortable. Eventually, it becomes overwhelming. This is how people lose control of their time and their lives. Not because they are incapable, but because they ignored small responsibilities when they were easy to handle. The most dangerous part of neglect is that it feels normal. When you repeat a behavior long enough, it becomes your standard. If you constantly delay things, you start believing that this is just how you are. But identity built on neglect leads to frustration and self-doubt. Discipline is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about not allowing small neglects to become large problems. It is about acting when things are easy, not when they become urgent. There is also an emotional cost to neglect. Every time you avoid something important, you create a mental burden. It stays in the background of your mind. It drains your energy. It reduces your focus. Even when you are resting, you are not fully at peace because you know something is unfinished. On the other hand, when you handle small responsibilities immediately, you create clarity. Your mind becomes lighter. Your confidence grows because you trust yourself to act. The compound effect works here in a very clear way. Small actions taken early prevent large problems later. Small neglects repeated daily create complex challenges that require much more effort to fix. Another hidden impact of neglect is lost opportunity. Sometimes it is not about problems, but about what you miss. Not learning a skill today means you fall behind tomorrow. Not taking a chance now means you may not get the same opportunity again. Life does not always wait. Time moves forward whether you act or not. This is why small delays matter more than people think. Many people believe they will change later. They plan to become more disciplined in the future. They assume they will fix everything when the time is right. But the habit of neglect grows stronger with time. It does not disappear on its own. The longer you delay action, the harder it becomes to start. What was once simple becomes difficult. What was once manageable becomes stressful. To break this cycle, you need awareness and immediate action. When you notice yourself avoiding something important, act on it as soon as possible. Do not wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment rarely comes. Start with small steps. Handle one task. Complete one responsibility. Build the habit of finishing what you begin. This is how you reduce the power of neglect. Example 1. A student ignores his studies for a few days. It does not seem serious. He believes he can catch up later. But days turn into weeks. Lessons become harder to understand. Exams approach and pressure increases. Now he has to work much harder to recover. The stress he feels is not because of one big mistake. It is the result of small neglects repeated daily. Example 2. A person ignores his health in small ways. He skips exercise, chooses unhealthy food, avoids regular checkups. Nothing serious happens at first. He feels fine, but over time his energy drops. Weight increases. Health issues begin to appear. What could have been prevented with small daily care now requires major effort to fix. These situations are common because neglect feels easy in the moment. It saves effort today, but creates difficulty tomorrow. The reality is simple. What you avoid does not disappear. It accumulates. The compound effect makes sure that small neglects grow into visible consequences. Just as positive habits build success, negative patterns build limitations. This is not meant to create fear, but awareness. Once you understand this, you gain control. You realize that preventing problems is easier than fixing them. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to reduce neglect. Handle things early. Stay consistent with small responsibilities. Respect your time and your actions. The difference between a stressful life and a stable life often comes down to this simple principle. Do not ignore what is small because it will not remain small for long. Chapter 3. The power of daily choices. Every single day you are making choices. Some feel important. Most feel small and automatic. You choose when to wake up. You choose how to spend your time. You choose what to focus on and what to ignore. These decisions seem ordinary, but they are quietly shaping your future. The truth is simple. Your life is the result of your daily choices repeated over time. Not your intentions, not your plans, not your goals. What you actually do each day determines where you end up. People often separate big decisions from small ones. They believe major life changes come from big moments, like choosing a career or making a financial investment. While those moments matter, they are not the foundation of your life. The foundation is built on what you do every day without thinking. A single good decision will not change your life. A single bad decision will not destroy it. But when a decision becomes a pattern, it gains power. Repetition turns choices into habits, and habits create direction. The compound effect works through these repeated choices. It does not respond to what you say you will do. It responds to what you consistently do. One of the biggest challenges people face is that daily choices often feel insignificant. Choosing to work instead of wasting time feels small. Choosing to save instead of spend feels small. Choosing to stay disciplined instead of giving in to comfort feels small. Because the impact is not immediate, people underestimate these decisions. But over time, these small choices begin to separate people. The gap is not visible in the beginning. It slowly grows until it becomes impossible to ignore. Another important reality is that every choice has a cost, even the ones that seem harmless. When you choose one thing, you are also choosing to give up something else. Choosing comfort means giving up progress. Choosing distraction means giving up focus. Choosing delay means giving up opportunity. This does not mean you must live without rest or enjoyment. It means you must become aware of the direction your choices are taking you. Many people make decisions based on how they feel in the moment. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel bored, they look for entertainment. If they feel pressure, they avoid it. This emotional decision-making leads to inconsistency. And inconsistency breaks the compound effect. Discipline changes this pattern. It allows you to make decisions based on what is right, not what is easy. It helps you act even when you do not feel motivated. This is where real growth begins. Another key factor is clarity. If you do not know what you want, your choices will be random. You will react to situations instead of directing them. Clear goals give meaning to your daily actions. They help you decide what matters and what does not. When your choices align with your goals, your progress becomes steady. When your choices are disconnected from your goals, your effort feels wasted. The compound effect rewards alignment. Small actions connected to a clear purpose create powerful results over time. There is also a hidden benefit of making the right choices daily. It builds confidence. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. This self-trust is powerful. It changes how you see yourself and how you approach challenges. On the other hand, repeated poor choices reduce confidence. When you constantly avoid what you should do, you begin to doubt yourself. This creates hesitation and fear, which slows down progress even more. Your identity is shaped by your choices. If you consistently act with discipline, you become a disciplined person. If you constantly choose comfort, you become someone who avoids effort. This identity and influences future decisions, creating a cycle. To change your life, you do not need to wait for a big moment. You need to change your daily choices. Start small. Focus on one decision at a time. Improve it. Make it consistent. Then build from there. Example 1. A person decides to use 1 hour every day to learn a new skill. At first, it feels slow and unnoticeable. Others may not even take it seriously. But after months, his knowledge grows. After a year, he becomes skilled enough to create opportunities for himself. This was not the result of one big effort, but of daily choices made consistently. Example 2. Another person chooses to spend a few hours every day on distractions. Social media, entertainment, and unnecessary activities fill his time. It feels relaxing in the moment. But over time, he realizes he has not progressed. Skills are not developed. Opportunities are missed. The result is frustration, not because of one big mistake, but because of repeated small choices. These examples show a clear pattern. What you do daily becomes what you achieve eventually. The compound effect does not create sudden change. It creates gradual transformation. It takes your daily decisions and multiplies them over time. This means you are always creating your future, whether you realize it or not. Every choice is a step in a direction. If your choices are aligned with growth, your life will move forward. If they are aligned with comfort and avoidance, your life will remain limited. There is no neutral state. Standing still is often the result of repeated choices that do not lead to progress. The good news is that you are always one decision away from changing direction. You do not need to fix everything at once. You only need to start making better choices today, not perfect choices. Better choices over time. Those better choices will compound into a life that looks completely different from where you started. Your future is not decided in one moment. It is decided in the small choices you make every single day. Chapter 4, Habits. The architecture of your destiny. If daily choices are the bricks of your life, then habits are the structure built from those bricks. A single action may seem small, but when it is repeated enough times, it becomes automatic. This is where real power begins. Because once something becomes automatic, it no longer requires effort. It becomes part of who you are. Habits are not just behaviors. They are systems that run your life in the background. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, most of what you do is driven by habits. You do not think about every action. You follow patterns that have been created over time. This is why habits are so important. They reduce the need for constant decision-making. They save mental energy. But more importantly, they determine your direction without you realizing it. Good habits quietly move you forward. Bad habits quietly hold you back. The compound effect works strongest through habits. Because habits are repeated without resistance, they create long-term impact. A single good action requires effort. A habit performs that action consistently, without struggle. People often try to change their lives by making big, sudden changes. They push themselves for a few days or weeks. But without strong habits, these efforts fade away. What remains is the old pattern. Real change does not come from intensity. It comes from building habits that support your goals. To understand habits, you must first understand how they form. Every habit follows a simple pattern. There is a trigger, followed by an action, followed by a reward. The trigger reminds you to act. The action is the behavior itself. The reward reinforces the behavior and makes you want to repeat it. Over time, this cycle becomes stronger. The brain begins to expect the reward. This is why habits can feel difficult to break. They are not just actions. They are reinforced patterns connected to satisfaction. This also explains why bad habits are so easy to build. They often provide immediate pleasure. Comfort, distraction, and convenience feel good in the moment. The brain quickly learns to repeat these behaviors. Good habits are different. They often require effort in the beginning, and their rewards are delayed. This is why many people struggle to maintain them. The benefit is not immediate, so the brain does not feel strongly motivated. But this is where discipline plays a role. Discipline helps you continue the action until the habit becomes strong enough to sustain itself. Once that happens, the effort decreases and the behavior becomes natural. Another important factor in building habits is environment. Your surroundings influence your behavior more than your intentions. If your environment supports a habit, it becomes easier to follow. If it works against you, it becomes harder. For example, if distractions are always around, you will find it difficult to focus. If tools for productivity are easily available, you will find it easier to work. Changing your environment can often be more effective than relying on willpower alone. Consistency is the most critical part of habit formation. Missing once is not a problem, but repeated inconsistency weakens the habit. The goal is not perfection, but regular repetition. Small habits may feel insignificant, but when they are consistent, they create powerful results. The compound effect turns these small repeated actions into major changes over time. Your identity is also shaped by your habits. Every time you perform a habit, you are reinforcing a belief about yourself. If you exercise regularly, you begin to see yourself as a disciplined person. If you avoid responsibilities, you begin to see yourself as someone who struggles with consistency. This identity then influences future behavior. It becomes easier to act in ways that match how you see yourself. To change your habits, you must also change your identity. Instead of focusing only on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. Then build habits that support that identity. Do not try to build too many habits at once. Start with one. Make it simple. Make it achievable. Once it becomes part of your routine, add another. This gradual approach is more effective than trying to change everything at once. Example: when a person decides to build a reading habit, instead of aiming for large amounts, he starts with just 10 minutes a day. It feels easy and manageable. Over time, it becomes part of his daily routine. After a few months, he increases the time without effort. After a year, he has gained knowledge that others ignored, simply because he stayed consistent with a small habit. Example 2. Another person has a habit of checking his phone frequently. It starts as a simple action, but becomes automatic. Every free moment is filled with scrolling. This reduces focus and productivity. Over time, he finds it difficult to concentrate on important tasks. The habit that once felt harmless now affects his performance and growth. These examples show how habits shape outcomes. They operate quietly, but their impact is powerful. The compound effect does not need big actions. It needs repeated actions. Habits provide that repetition. If your habits are aligned with your goals, success becomes a natural result. If your habits are working against your goals, progress becomes difficult, no matter how hard you try. This is why habits are the architecture of your destiny. They build your future step by step without you noticing. Do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Change your habits and you change your direction. Change your direction and you change your life. Chapter 5: Consistency. The true separator between winners and everyone else. Most people do not fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they cannot stay consistent. They start strong. They feel motivated. They make plans. But after a short time, their effort fades. Distractions take over. Comfort becomes more attractive. And slowly they return to old patterns. Consistency is what turns small actions into powerful results. Without it, even the best intentions have no value. With it, even the smallest effort becomes meaningful. The compound effect depends completely on consistency. It is not about what you do once. It is about what you do again and again without stopping. Repetition is what creates growth. When repetition breaks, progress slows down or disappears. In the beginning, consistency feels difficult. There is no immediate reward. You put in effort, but see little or no change. This is the stage where most people quit. They believe their work is not producing results. They lose patience and look for something easier. But what they do not realize is that progress is happening beneath the surface. Just like roots growing under the ground before a plant becomes visible, your efforts are building strength even when you cannot see it. Those who continue during this invisible phase are the ones who eventually succeed. They trust the process. They understand that results take time. They are willing to stay committed even when it feels slow. Consistency also builds momentum. At first, every action requires effort. You have to push yourself to begin. But as you continue, the process becomes easier. What once felt difficult becomes normal. This is when progress starts to accelerate. Another important aspect of consistency is discipline. Motivation can help you start, but it cannot sustain you. Discipline keeps you going when motivation disappears. It allows you to act based on commitment rather than emotion. Many people wait to feel ready before they act. They depend on mood and energy. But consistency requires action, even on days when you feel tired or distracted. It is not about perfect performance. It is about showing up. Not missing one day is not failure. But allowing one missed day to become a pattern breaks consistency. The goal is to return quickly and continue without losing momentum. Consistency also builds trust in yourself. Every time you follow through on your commitment, you prove that you can rely on your actions. This self-trust increases confidence and makes future challenges easier to handle. On the other hand, inconsistency creates doubt. When you repeatedly start and stop, you begin to question your ability. This makes it harder to commit fully in the future. Another reality is that consistency often feels boring. Doing the same thing every day does not create excitement. It lacks variety and immediate reward. This is why many people abandon it. They look for something new and interesting. But success is not built on excitement. It is built on repetition. The ability to do simple things consistently over a long period of time is what creates extraordinary results. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to do everything at once. You only need to stay consistent with what matters. Consistency also protects you from extremes. Instead of working intensely for a short period and then stopping completely, you maintain steady progress. This reduces stress and creates stability. The compound effect multiplies consistent actions. Even if the effort seems small, the results grow over time. What looks insignificant in the beginning becomes powerful later. Example 1. A person decides to improve his fitness. Instead of extreme workouts, he commits to exercising regularly for a short time each day. In the beginning, the change is not noticeable, but he continues without interruption. After a few months, his strength increases. After a year, his body transforms. The key was not intensity, but consistency. Example 2. Another person starts with strong motivation. He works hard for a few days, then stops. After some time, he starts again with the same energy, and then stops once more. This cycle continues. Despite putting in effort, he sees little progress because his actions are not consistent. The lack of repetition prevents the compound effect from working. These examples show the difference clearly. Consistent effort produces results, even if it is small. Inconsistent effort produces frustration, even if it is intense. The truth is simple. What you repeat, you improve. What you abandon, you lose. Consistency is not easy, but it is simple. It requires commitment, patience, and the willingness to continue even when it feels slow. This is what separates those who succeed from those who remain stuck. Not a single big action, but the ability to keep going. The compound effect does not reward occasional effort. It rewards steady action over time. If you want to move ahead of most people, focus on this one principle. Show up every day. Do the work. Stay consistent in the end. Consistency always wins because time amplifies whatever you repeat. Chapter 6. Momentum. How small wins turn into unstoppable progress. In the beginning, everything feels heavy. Starting is difficult. Continuing is even harder. Every action requires effort and discipline. There is resistance in your mind and sometimes even in your environment. This is the stage where most people stop because progress feels slow and results are not visible. But something powerful begins to happen when you keep going. Small actions start to connect. Effort becomes smoother. What once felt forced begins to feel natural. This is momentum. Momentum is the force that makes progress easier over time. It is created when you stay consistent long enough for your actions to build on each other. At first, you push yourself forward. Later, momentum starts pulling you forward. The compound effect and momentum work together. The compound effect multiplies your actions over time. Momentum reduces the effort needed to continue those actions. When both are active, progress becomes powerful and steady. Most people never experience real momentum because they stop too early. They expect quick results, and when they do not see them, they quit. What they do not realize is that momentum takes time to build. It does not appear in the first few days. It develops after repeated effort. Think of it like pushing a heavy object. At the start, it barely moves. You use a lot of energy just to create slight movement. This is frustrating and exhausting. But if you continue, the object begins to move more easily. Once it gains speed, it requires less effort to keep it going. This is exactly how progress works in life. The first steps are always the hardest. Starting a new habit, learning a new skill, or changing your routine requires conscious effort. There is discomfort because you are moving away from what is familiar. But when you repeat the action consistently, your brain adapts. Your body adjusts. The process becomes smoother. You no longer fight yourself as much. This is when momentum starts building. Another important benefit of momentum is confidence. Each small win proves that you are capable. It reinforces your belief in yourself. This belief makes it easier to take the next step. Without momentum, every action feels like starting from zero. With momentum, every action builds on the previous one. Momentum also helps you stay focused. When you are moving forward regularly, you are less likely to get distracted. Your mind becomes aligned with your direction. You know what you need to do, and you continue doing it. However, momentum can work in both directions. Just as positive actions create forward movement, negative patterns create backward movement. If you consistently delay, ignore, or avoid things, you build negative momentum. It becomes easier to continue those behaviors and harder to break them. This is why starting small is important. Small wins are easier to achieve. They create positive momentum without overwhelming you. Once that momentum builds, you can increase your effort without feeling heavy. Resistance. Another key factor is protecting your momentum. Interruptions are natural, but long breaks can slow you down. When you stop completely, it becomes harder to restart. The goal is to maintain movement even if it is small. You do not need to perform at your best every day. You only need to avoid stopping completely. Even a small action keeps the momentum alive. Momentum also changes your identity. When you are consistent and moving forward, you begin to see yourself as someone who takes action. This identity strengthens your behavior and makes it easier to continue. The longer you maintain momentum, the more powerful it becomes. It creates a cycle where action leads to progress. Progress builds confidence, and confidence leads to more action. Example 1. A person decides to write every day. At first, it feels difficult. Ideas do not come easily, and the process feels slow. But he continues. After a few weeks, writing becomes smoother. After a few months, he can express his thoughts clearly. After a year, he has developed a strong skill simply because he kept going long enough to build momentum. Example 2. Another person starts learning a skill with excitement. He practices for a few days and then stops. After some time, he starts again but has to begin from the same level. This cycle repeats. Because he never stays consistent long enough, he never builds momentum. Every new start feels difficult, and progress remains limited. These examples show why momentum matters. It is not just about effort. It is about continuous movement. The compound effect needs repetition, and momentum makes repetition easier. When you combine both, you create a powerful system for growth. Small actions repeated consistently build momentum. Momentum reduces resistance. Reduced resistance makes it easier to stay consistent. And the cycle continues. This is how ordinary effort turns into extraordinary results over time. The key is simple, but not easy. Start small. Stay consistent. Do not stop. Momentum will take care of the rest once you give it enough time to grow. Chapter 7. Environment. the silent force that shapes your behavior most. People believe that success or failure depends only on willpower and motivation. They think if they are strong enough, they will stay disciplined no matter what. But this belief often leads to frustration. Because the truth is, your environment has a powerful influence on your actions. That environment is everything around you. The place you live in, the people you spend time with, the tools you use, and the information you consume. All of these factors quietly shape your behavior without you even realizing it. The compound effect does not work in isolation. It is deeply connected to your surroundings. Your habits are easier or harder depending on the environment you are in. If your environment supports your goals, progress becomes natural. If it works against you, progress becomes a constant struggle. Think about how easy it is to get distracted when your phone is always in your hand. Notifications appear and your attention shifts without effort. You do not plan to waste time, but the environment makes it easy. In the same way, if your workspace is clean, organized, and free from distractions, it becomes easier to focus. This is not about weakness. It is about influence. Your brain responds to what is around you. It follows cues and patterns created by your surroundings. People often try to change their behavior without changing their environment. They rely on willpower alone. This approach can work for a short time, but it is difficult to maintain. Over time, the environment pulls them back into old habits. If you truly want to change your life, you must design your environment in a way that supports your goals. Start by removing what works against you. Reduce distractions. Limit access to things that waste your time. Create distance between you and negative influences. Then add what supports you. Keep tools for your work easily available. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals. Create a space that encourages focus and action. Another important part of your environment is the people around you. The individuals you spend time with influence your thinking, your habits, and your standards. If you are surrounded by people who are disciplined and focused, you will naturally move in that direction. If you are surrounded by people who avoid effort and seek comfort, you will slowly adopt similar patterns. This does not mean you need to leave everyone behind. It means you must become aware of how your social environment affects you. Choose carefully who you listen to and who you spend most of your time with. Your environment also includes the information you consume. What you watch, read, and listen to shapes your mindset. If you constantly consume negative or distracting content, your thinking will reflect that. If you focus on learning and growth, your mindset will become stronger. The compound effect works here as well. Small influences repeated daily create long-term impact. A few minutes of distraction may not seem harmful, but repeated every day, it changes your focus and direction. Creating a strong environment does not require big changes. Small adjustments can make a significant difference. Moving your phone away while working. Keeping a book within reach. Organizing your workspace. Spending time with people who inspire growth. These simple actions reduce resistance and make positive behavior easier. Another key factor is consistency in your environment. If your surroundings keep changing, your habits will struggle to stabilize. A stable environment supports stable behavior. You also need to understand that your environment can either drain your energy or support it. A cluttered, chaotic space can make you feel tired and unfocused. A clean and organized space can increase clarity and motivation. When your environment is aligned with your goals, you do not need to fight yourself constantly. The right actions become the easy actions. Example 1. A person wants to build a habit of studying, but keeps getting distracted by his phone. Instead of relying on willpower, he changes his environment. He keeps his phone in another room while studying and creates a quiet space for focus. This small change reduces distractions and makes it easier to stay consistent. Over time, his productivity improves without extra effort. Example 2. Another person spends most of his time with people who avoid responsibility and focus only on entertainment. At first, he does not notice the impact, but slowly his own habits begin to change. He loses focus, delays his work, and stops pushing himself. The environment around him shapes his behavior without him realizing it. These examples show that environment is not just a background factor. It is an active force that influences your daily actions. The compound effect amplifies whatever your environment encourages. If your surroundings support growth, your results will improve over time. If they support distraction and comfort, your progress will slow down. You cannot always control everything around you, but you can control enough to make a difference. Take responsibility for your environment. Adjust it in small ways. Make it easier to do what is right and harder to do what is wrong. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. When your environment supports your habits support your goals, and your goals shape your future. You do not rise above your environment easily. You grow with it or fall with it. Change your environment, and you change the path you walk. Every single day. Chapter 8. Delayed gratification. The strength to choose long-term over now. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to move ahead in life is not lack of ability, but lack of patience. The desire for immediate results is strong. People want to feel progress quickly. They want rewards without waiting. They want success without enduring the slow process that builds it. This is where delayed gratification becomes powerful. Delayed gratification means choosing a better future instead of an easy present. It is the ability to say no to immediate comfort so that you can gain something greater over time. This is not natural for most people. The human mind is wired to seek pleasure now and avoid discomfort. The compound effect depends heavily on this principle. Because most meaningful results do not appear immediately. They take time. They require consistent effort without instant reward. If you cannot delay gratification, you will quit before the results arrive. Think about how often people start something with excitement and then stop when they do not see quick progress. A person begins exercising but quits after a few weeks because the body has not changed. A student studies for a short time but loses focus because improvement feels slow. An individual saves money but spends it because the benefit of saving feels distant. In each case, the problem is not effort. It is impatience. Immediate rewards are easy to understand. You feel them right away. Comfort, relaxation, entertainment, and convenience give instant satisfaction. That is why they are attractive. But they often come with long-term consequences. Delayed rewards are different. They require trust. You must believe that your effort will lead to something valuable, even when you cannot see it yet. This belief is what keeps you moving forward. The compound effect turns delayed rewards into powerful outcomes. Small actions repeated over time create results that are far greater than the initial effort. But only those who are willing to wait can experience this. Delayed gratification is not about denying yourself completely. It is about making better choices consistently. It is about understanding that what feels good now is not always what is best for you later. Another important aspect is self-control. You will face moments where the easier option is available. The comfortable choice will always be present. In those moments, your decision shapes your direction. Each time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your ability to delay gratification. Each time you give in to immediate pleasure, you weaken it. Over time, this becomes a pattern. You either train yourself to think long-term, or you train yourself to react to short-term desires. There is also a connection between delayed gratification and identity. When you consistently make long-term choices, you begin to see yourself as someone who is disciplined and focused. This identity supports your future decisions. On the other hand, when you repeatedly choose immediate comfort, you begin to see yourself as someone who avoids effort. This makes it harder to change later. Patience plays a key role here. You must accept that meaningful progress takes time. Rushing the process often leads to frustration and quitting. Trusting the process allows you to stay consistent. Delayed gratification also creates stronger and more stable results. What you build slowly tends to last longer. What you gain quickly is often lost quickly. This is why the compound effect favors those who are willing to wait. Time multiplies their effort and turns small, consistent actions into significant achievements. Example: a person decides to save a small amount of money regularly instead of spending it on unnecessary things. At first, it feels like a sacrifice. He cannot enjoy instant purchases like others. But he continues. Over time, his savings grow. After a few years, he has financial stability and opportunities that others do not. The reward came later, but it was much greater. Example 2. Another person chooses immediate pleasure over long-term benefit. He spends money as soon as he earns it. He avoids saving because it feels restrictive. In the moment, he enjoys comfort and convenience. But over time, he faces financial stress and limited options. The short-term satisfaction leads to long-term difficulty. These examples show a simple truth. What you choose today shapes what you experience tomorrow. The compound effect magnifies delayed gratification. Small sacrifices made consistently create powerful results in the future. This does not mean life should be without enjoyment. It means enjoyment should not come at the cost of your growth. Balance is important, but direction is more important. You must decide whether you want temporary comfort or lasting success. The ability to delay gratification is what separates those who move ahead from those who remain stuck. It is not about doing something extraordinary. It is about making the right choice in small moments. Again and again. In the end, your future is built on what you choose. Today. Choose what is easy, and your life may become difficult. Choose what is difficult, and your life becomes easier over time. The compound effect rewards those who are willing to wait, because time turns their patience into power. Chapter 9. Discipline. Doing what needs to be done, even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is one of the most misunderstood ideas in personal growth. Many people think discipline means strict routines or a harsh lifestyle. Others think it is something only highly motivated people can maintain. But discipline is far simpler than that. Discipline is the ability to do what is necessary even when you do not feel like doing it. It is not about intensity. It is about consistency. It is not about perfection. It is about reliability. It is the quiet decision to stay committed to your actions regardless of mood or circumstances. The compound effect depends deeply on discipline, because the compound effect is built through repeated actions over time. Without discipline, those actions break. And when actions break, the results stop building. Most people are controlled by how they feel in the moment. When they feel motivated, they act. When they feel tired, they stop. When they feel distracted, they delay. This emotional pattern creates inconsistency, and inconsistency destroys progress. Discipline breaks this pattern. It separates action from emotion. It allows you to act based on purpose rather than feeling. In real life, discipline shows up in small moments. Waking up when it is comfortable to sleep. Working when it is easier to rest. Continuing when it is tempting to quit. These moments seem small, but they decide your direction. The difference between successful people and those who struggle is not that one group never feels lazy or tired. The difference is that one group acts despite those feelings, while the other group obeys them. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Every time you choose action over comfort, you strengthen it. Every time you choose comfort over action, you weaken it. This means discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The less you use it, the weaker it gets. At the beginning, discipline feels heavy. You have to push yourself. You have to resist distractions. You have to make effort just to start. But over time, this changes. What once required force becomes automatic. This is where the compound effect becomes visible. Small disciplined actions repeated daily begin to shape your life in powerful ways. Another important aspect of discipline is trust. When you consistently do what you say you will do, you build trust in yourself. You begin to believe that you can rely on your own actions. This self-trust is powerful because it reduces hesitation and increases confidence. Without discipline, self-trust breaks. You start making promises to yourself and not keeping them. This creates internal conflict. You begin to doubt your own ability to follow through. Discipline also creates freedom. This may seem strange at first because discipline looks restrictive. But in reality, it removes chaos from your life. It gives structure and direction. When you are disciplined, you are not controlled by random impulses. You are in control of your actions. Freedom without discipline leads to confusion. Discipline creates freedom with direction. Another important truth is that discipline reduces stress. When you do what needs to be done on time, you avoid last-minute pressure. You avoid buildup of tasks and responsibilities. Your mind becomes clearer because there is less unfinished work sitting in the background. The compound effect amplifies discipline. Even small disciplined actions repeated daily create massive results over time. A few minutes of focused effort each day may seem small, but over months and years, it becomes powerful transformation. Example 1. A student decides to study regularly instead of waiting for exams to approach. Some days he feels tired and prefers rest. But he studies anyway. Over time, his understanding improves. When exams arrive, he is prepared and confident. His discipline during small daily sessions created strong performance later. Example 2. Another person begins a fitness routine. Some days he feels motivated. Some days he does not. But he continues regardless of mood. At first there is little visible change. But months later, his body becomes stronger and healthier. The transformation was not sudden. It was built through discipline in ordinary days. These examples show a simple reality. Discipline is not about big actions. It is about repeated small actions done consistently. The hardest part of discipline is the beginning. After that, it becomes easier. Once it becomes part of your identity, it no longer feels like a struggle. It becomes a natural part of how you live. You do not need perfect conditions to be disciplined. You do not need motivation. You only need a decision to act, even when it feels uncomfortable. Every time you choose discipline, you are building a better version of your future. Every time you avoid it, you are delaying that future. The compound effect does not respond to intentions. It responds to disciplined actions repeated over time. If you want to change your life, you do not need to do something extraordinary. You need to become consistent with ordinary actions. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your reality. Cross it daily, and your future begins to change. Step by step. Chapter 1. Awareness. The moment you take control of your life, most people live on autopilot without realizing it. They wake up, repeat routines, react to situations, and go to sleep without ever questioning why they are doing what they are doing. Days turn into weeks, and weeks turn into years. Life keeps moving, but direction is never truly chosen. It is simply followed. Awareness is the moment you break out of this cycle. It is the ability to observe your own behavior instead of blindly repeating it. It is when you start noticing your habits, your choices, your reactions, and your patterns. This is where real change begins, because you cannot change what you do not see. The compound effect only becomes powerful when awareness is present. Without awareness, you keep repeating the same actions, expecting different results. With awareness, you begin to understand that your current life is the result of repeated decisions over time. This realization is both simple and life-changing. It removes the illusion that life is random. It shows you that your direction is shaped by your daily behavior. Awareness does not require intelligence or special skills. It requires honesty. You must be willing to look at your actions without excuses. This can be uncomfortable because it reveals patterns you may have ignored for a long time. But discomfort is the beginning of change. When you become aware, you start noticing small things. How much time you waste without realizing it. How often you delay important tasks. How frequently you choose comfort over progress. These observations are powerful because they expose the gap between your intentions and your actions. Most people believe they are more productive, disciplined, or focused than they actually are. Awareness closes this gap. It shows reality as it is not as you imagine it to be. Once you see clearly, you cannot unsee it. And once you cannot unsee it, you gain the power to change it. Awareness creates choice. Without awareness, you react automatically. With awareness, you pause and decide. This small shift changes everything. The compound effect depends on this shift, because only conscious actions can be improved. Automatic actions continue the same cycle unless they are brought into awareness. Another important part of awareness is reflection. Taking a moment to look at your day and ask simple questions like what did I do well and what did I waste time on helps you understand your patterns. Over time, this builds clarity. Clarity leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to better actions. Better actions lead to better results. This is how the compound effect begins to work in your favor. Awareness also helps you break negative cycles. Many people are stuck not because they lack knowledge, but because they are unaware of their own patterns. They repeat behaviors without realizing the impact. For example, someone may think they are busy all day, but in reality, they are distracted in small ways throughout the day. Without awareness, this pattern continues. With awareness, it becomes visible and can be changed. Awareness is not about judgment. It is not about blaming yourself. It is about understanding. When you understand your behavior, you gain the ability to improve it. Another powerful aspect of awareness is control over attention. What you focus on grows. If your attention is constantly pulled toward distractions, your progress slows. If your attention is directed toward meaningful actions, your growth accelerates. Awareness helps you notice where your attention goes. This allows you to redirect it intentionally instead of letting it be controlled by habits or environment. The compound effect strengthens when attention is controlled, because focused actions repeated over time produce far greater results than scattered effort. Awareness also builds responsibility. When you understand that your life is shaped by your actions, you stop blaming external circumstances for everything. You start taking ownership of your choices. This shift is powerful because it puts control back in your hands. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. Awareness helps you see this clearly. Example 1. A person feels that he never has enough time in the day. He believes he is always busy. But when he becomes aware of his habits, he realizes he spends hours scrolling through his phone without noticing. This awareness helps him reduce distractions and use his time more effectively. Example 2. Another person feels stuck in life and blames circumstances. After reflecting honestly, he notices that his lack of progress is due to inconsistent effort and repeated delays. Once he becomes aware of this pattern, he begins making small changes in his daily routine. Over time, his situation improves. These examples show that awareness is not about changing everything at once. It is about seeing clearly first. Once you see clearly, change becomes possible. The compound effect cannot work without awareness, because unconscious actions cannot be improved. But once you become aware, even small changes create powerful results over time. Awareness is the starting point of transformation. It is the moment you stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. From here, every chapter before this becomes useful in practice. Habits, discipline, consistency, environment, momentum, and delayed gratification all depend on awareness. Because before you can change your life, you must first see your life clearly. Conclusion: the life you build in silence becomes the life you live in reality. Everything you have read leads to one simple truth: your life is not shaped in one dramatic moment. It is shaped in thousands of small moments that seem unimportant at the time. The way you spend your mornings, the habits you repeat, the choices you make when no one is watching, the decisions you delay, the discipline you follow or ignore. All of it is quietly building your future. This is the compound effect. It does not announce itself. It does not give instant feedback. It does not reward you immediately. Instead, it works slowly and silently in the background. Like gravity, it is always active whether you believe in it or not. Most people misunderstand success because they look for big events. They wait for breakthroughs. They hope for sudden change. But real change is not sudden. It is accumulated. Your current life is not an accident. It is the result of repeated behavior. This is not about blame. It is about understanding. Because once you understand it, you can change it. The most powerful realization is this: if small actions created your current reality, then small actions can also create a new reality. You do not need to rebuild your life overnight. You only need to change the direction of your daily habits. The compound effect works both ways. It can build you or break you. It can create success or failure. It depends entirely on what you repeat. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. This is why discipline matters more than motivation. This is why awareness matters more than excuses. And this is why environment, habits, and delayed gratification are not just ideas, but practical tools that shape your future. There is no magic solution. There is no shortcut that replaces effort over time. Every meaningful achievement requires repetition. Every strong result requires patience. Every lasting success requires discipline. At the beginning, change feels slow. You may not see immediate results. You may feel like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, everything is changing. Just like roots growing before a tree appears above the ground, your actions are building invisible strength. If you stay consistent long enough, the results will become visible. And when they do, they often appear faster than expected. This is the nature of compounding. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is rarely talent. It is persistence through the invisible phase. It is the ability to continue when results are not yet visible. Most people quit too early. They stop right before progress begins to show. They mistake delay for failure. But those who continue experience the power of accumulation. Your future is not decided by one decision. It is decided by many small decisions repeated over time. Every day, you are either building a better version of your life or reinforcing the current one. There is no neutral ground. The good news is that you always have control over the next action. You cannot change the past. You cannot instantly transform everything. But you can choose what you do next. And that is where change begins. Start small. Stay consistent. Protect your habits. Be aware of your actions. Respect your time. Choose long-term benefit over short-term comfort. Build momentum. And trust the process even when results are not visible yet, because the compound effect always works. It does not ask for perfection. It only asks for repetition. And in the end, the life you build quietly every day becomes the life you live out loud in reality. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.